بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد, my dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What if I told you the pain you are feeling right now, the delay, the heartbreak, the silent tears nobody knows about, might actually be the evidence that Allah is preparing something bigger than you can imagine? Because sometimes Allah will break your plans before He gives you the life you prayed for. And that hurts. It hurts when you have been making the same dua for years, when your hands are tired of being raised, when your heart is exhausted from hoping, when you keep asking Allah for one sign, one door, one moment of relief, and nothing changes. Or at least that is what it feels like. But listen carefully. Some of you walked into this night carrying a pain so heavy, you no longer recognize yourself. You laugh less, you trust less, you cry more. And deep inside your chest there is a question you are too afraid to say out loud. Ya Allah, why am I being left behind? That question has visited the hearts of the righteous before you. Even Maryam alayha salam, the woman chosen above the women of the world, reached a moment where the pain became unbearable. Alone, terrified, misunderstood, carrying a miracle while the world would accuse her of shame. And in that crushing moment she cried, Ya laytani mittu qabla hadha. I wish I had died before this. Surah Maryam 19:23. Do you understand the depth of that pain? One of the purest women to walk this earth reached a moment where her heart felt overwhelmed. So if you are struggling, if you are tired, if your soul feels bruised by life, you are not weak, you are human. But here is what changes everything. While Maryam thought she was alone, Allah was already creating miracles beneath her feet. Water appeared, dates fell, mercy descended, because Allah's help was never absent. It was hidden. And maybe that is your story right now. You think Allah is silent, but the heavens are moving in ways you cannot see. You think your dua is being ignored while angels carry your words beyond the skies. You think your life is falling apart while Allah is saving you from a future that would have broken you completely. Subhanallah. How many times have you cried over a closed door only to realize later that it was protecting you? How many times did you beg for something that would have destroyed your iman if Allah gave it to you immediately? But we are impatient. We measure Allah's mercy by our clocks. We panic when life slows down. We think delay means rejection. No, delay is sometimes Allah's way of saying, I am preparing your heart before I prepare your blessing. Because some blessings are so heavy, your current version could never carry them. And that is why this pain has purpose. That sleepless night has purpose. That heartbreak has purpose. That waiting has purpose. Even now, especially now, Allah has not forgotten you. You know what destroys a person slowly? It is not always pain. Sometimes it is the waiting, the endless waiting, waiting for the phone call, waiting for the acceptance, waiting for the marriage, waiting for the child, waiting for the healing, waiting for life to finally make sense. And the hardest part, trying to stay faithful while nothing changes. Because anyone can worship Allah when life is beautiful. But when your du'as feel unanswered, when your heart feels emotionally exhausted, when you are fighting battles nobody knows, that is when your relationship with Allah becomes real. And maybe tonight you are carrying a question you have never admitted to anyone. Ya Allah, if you love me, why is this happening to me? But let me tell you something dangerous about pain. Pain can either push you toward Allah or make you slowly drift away from Him. There are people whose suffering made them softer, and there are people whose suffering made their hearts bitter. The difference was never the test. The difference was how they saw Allah during the test. Look at Prophet Musa alayhi salam, standing at the edge of the sea. Behind him was Fir'aun, an army, weapons, death approaching. In front of him, nothing but water, no escape, no solution, no visible miracle. And the people around him panicked. They screamed, Inna lamudrakun, we are surely overtaken. Surah Ash-Shu'ara 26:61. It's over. We're trapped. There's no way out. But Musa alayhi salam looked at an impossible situation and said words that could shake every anxious heart listening right now. Kalla, inna ma'iya rabbi sayahdeen. No, indeed my Lord is with me. He will guide me. Surah Ash-Shu'ara 26:62. Subhanallah. Do you realize the level of trust in those words? The sea had not split yet. The miracle had not happened yet. The danger was still there. But his faith was bigger than what his eyes could see. That is tawakkul. Trusting Allah before the miracle arrives. And maybe your test right now is exactly that. Can you still trust Allah while the sea is still closed? Can you still make dua while nothing makes sense? Can you still believe Allah is good even when life feels painful? Because this dunya was never promised to be perfect. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, the people most severely tested are the prophets, then those nearest to them, then those nearest to them. Jami' at-Tirmidhi. The closer the heart is to Allah, the deeper the test can become. Why? Because Allah is not only preparing you for dunya, He is preparing you for Jannah. And sometimes Allah removes certain things from your life because they are distractions from Him. You cried because someone walked away, but what if their absence saved your future? You begged Allah for a specific door to open, but what if behind that door was destruction your heart could not survive? Allah sees what you cannot. That is why one of the most painful things in life is also one of the greatest acts of worship: waiting. Waiting with sabr, waiting without losing faith. Waiting while your heart still says, Ya Allah, even if I do not understand your plan, I trust you. And maybe that is why you are being tested so deeply, because Allah wants to hear your voice in the darkness, not just when life is easy, not just when blessings come quickly, but now in this pain, in this silence, in this waiting. Because there is a level of closeness to Allah that only broken hearts can reach. Some of the deepest wounds you carry were not caused by strangers. They were caused by people you loved, people you trusted, people you would have sacrificed everything for. And that betrayal changes a person. After enough disappointment, the heart becomes tired of hoping. You stop expecting good things. You stop dreaming. You even stop making dua the same way. Because disappointment after disappointment can make a person secretly fear hope itself. And maybe that is where you are right now. You still pray, but a part of you is afraid to expect anything anymore. You say, Allah will help me, but your heart whispers, what if nothing changes? That silent fear is heavy. But listen carefully. The story of Yusuf alayhi salam was never only about a boy thrown into a well. It was about a heart surviving betrayal without losing trust in Allah. Imagine the darkness of that well. Cold walls, no escape, no voice except your own breathing. Thrown away by your own brothers, not enemies, brothers, the people who were supposed to love him most. And what is incredible is this: Allah could have saved Yusuf immediately. Allah could have prevented the well entirely, but instead Allah allowed the pain because the palace was waiting. Subhanallah. Sometimes the well is part of the journey to the throne, and you keep crying over the well because you cannot yet see the palace. You cry over what left your life while Allah is preparing what is meant to enter it. You mourn closed doors while Allah protects you from rooms filled with destruction. And this is why Shaitan attacks you hardest during delays. Because if he cannot stop your rizq, he will try to stop your trust in Allah. He will whisper, look how long you've waited. Look how forgotten you are. Look at everyone moving ahead without you. But comparison is poison. You are comparing your unfinished story to someone else's highlight reel. You see their smiles, you do not see their private pain. You see their success, you do not see the nights they cried to Allah. And sometimes the people you envy are begging Allah for the peace you still have. Never forget that. Allah distributes tests differently. One person is tested with delay, another is tested with success. One person struggles with loneliness, another struggles inside a crowded room. And sometimes the blessing you are asking for becomes a fitna for someone else. That is why Allah gives according to wisdom, not according to pressure. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said something that should calm every restless heart. Amazing is the affair of the believer. There is good for him in every matter. Sahih Muslim. Every matter, not only happiness, even heartbreak, even delay, even loss, even the nights where your chest feels heavy for reasons you cannot explain, because Allah wastes nothing. Not one tear, not one sleepless night, not one moment you spent whispering Ya Rabb while trying not to fall apart. And maybe years from now you will look back at this painful chapter and cry for a completely different reason. Not because it hurt, but because you will finally realize Allah was protecting you the entire time. There are blessings that arrive as gifts, and there are blessings that arrive disguised as pain. That rejection, that heartbreak, that delay, that closed door. What if it was mercy all along? What if Allah was removing what you loved because He knew it would eventually remove you from Him? Sometimes Allah breaks your heart to save your soul. And sometimes the unanswered dua is actually the answer that saves your life. There comes a moment in life when Allah allows you to reach the edge of your strength, not to destroy you, but to show you that He was always the one carrying you. Because as long as you believe you control everything, you will never fully surrender to Him. And surrender is terrifying, especially when life is not going the way you planned, especially when your timeline is collapsing in front of you. You thought you would be settled by now. You thought the pain would be gone by now. You thought that dua would have been answered by now. But here you are, still waiting, still hurting, still trying to smile while your heart feels exhausted. And maybe the hardest battle is not even with the world anymore. Maybe it is with your own thoughts. The overthinking, the silent fear, the anxiety about tomorrow. What if things never get better? That question can suffocate the soul. But do you know what anxiety really does? It makes you worship the future instead of trusting the owner of the future. Subhanallah. You exhaust yourself trying to control outcomes only Allah controls. Your rizq, your marriage, your healing, your success, your future, all of it was written before you were even born. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, what missed you was never meant for you, and what reached you was never meant to miss you. If people truly understood this hadith, half of their anxiety would disappear, because the heart finally realizes no human can steal what Allah wrote for you. No delay can cancel what Allah promised for you, and no closed door can stop what Allah intends to arrive in your life. That is why desperation must never push you toward haram. Never. Some people become so tired of waiting that they run toward what displeases Allah just to escape the pain. A haram relationship because they fear loneliness. Dishonest money because they fear poverty. Compromising deen because they fear being left behind. But every shortcut away from Allah eventually creates a longer road back to peace. Always. Real peace is never found in disobedience. Never. Because even if the sin gives temporary relief, the soul still feels empty afterward. You know why? Because the heart was created for Allah, not for dunya, not for validation from people, not for status, not for attention. And that is why some people have everything the world offers, yet still feel broken inside. Money cannot heal the soul. People cannot heal the soul. Only Allah can. Look at Hajar. Left alone in the middle of a desert, no city, no people, no comfort, just a mother holding her crying child under the burning sky. Can you imagine that scene? The heat, the fear, the silence. She ran between Safa and Marwa, searching desperately for water, again and again and again. Nothing, no answer, no miracle, but she kept running. She kept trusting. And when Allah decided the moment had come, Zamzam burst from beneath the feet of her child. Subhanallah. The water was there by Allah's command all along, but the struggle came before the miracle. And maybe your Zamzam is closer than you think. Maybe the thing you cry for is already being written. Maybe Allah is only waiting for the exact moment your heart is ready to receive it. Because if Allah gave you everything instantly, you would never learn dependence on Him. You would love the gift more than the giver. And sometimes Allah delays blessings so your heart becomes attached to Him first. That is the secret hidden inside waiting. Waiting purifies love. Waiting teaches surrender. Waiting teaches you that Allah is enough even before the answer arrives. And the people closest to Allah understand something the dunya never will. The greatest blessing is not getting everything you want. The greatest blessing is having a heart that still trusts Allah after everything it has suffered. There is a point where words stop helping, where advice no longer feels like enough, where the heart simply says, I just need relief, Ya Allah. And maybe that is exactly where you are standing right now. Not confused about Islam, not distant from Allah, but exhausted, spiritually tired, emotionally drained, carrying things you were never meant to carry alone. And tonight, you are not asking for luxury, not fame, not the world. You are asking for one thing only, peace. But listen carefully. Peace is not always the removal of pain. Sometimes peace is the presence of Allah inside the pain.
That is something deeper than circumstances. That is something no one can take away from you. Look at the Prophet, peace be upon him, the most beloved to Allah, and yet he buried his children. He was rejected by his own people. He faced loss after loss. In the year of sorrow, he lost his wife Khadija radiyallahu anha, the woman who stood by him when the world turned away. And his uncle Abu Talib, his protection in society was gone. 2 pillars removed in 1 year, and the Prophet, peace be upon him, still said nothing against Allah. He still trusted, still prayed, still moved forward, not because life was easy, but because his heart was anchored in something greater than pain. And that is the level Allah is calling you toward. Not a life without trials, but a heart that does not break its connection with Allah during trials. Because here is the truth. Most people only understand at the end of their suffering. What you thought was delayed was never delayed at all. It was perfectly timed. Your Lord was never late. Never. Not once. You just could not see the wisdom behind the timing. And one day you will look back and say, Ya Allah, you were protecting me when I thought I was being abandoned. You will understand why certain doors stayed closed. You will understand why certain people left. You will understand why certain du'as were not given in the way you wanted. And your heart will finally rest in gratitude instead of confusion. But until that moment comes, you must hold on. Even if your voice is weak, even if your heart is shaking, even if your faith feels small, hold on. Because Allah does not measure your strength by how loudly you believe, but by how long you return to Him, even when everything inside you is tired. And right now, if you feel like you are barely holding on, that is still holding on. If you feel like your dua is weak, it is still dua. If you feel distant but still thinking of Allah, that is still connection. And Allah never wastes that, not even for a second. So before you leave this moment, raise your hands. Not because everything is okay, but because you are still hoping it will be. And say this from the depth of your brokenness. Ya Allah, if my heart has ever doubted your mercy, forgive me. If my patience has ever weakened, strengthen me. If I have ever questioned your timing, heal my heart with certainty. Ya Allah, replace my anxiety with trust. Replace my tears with relief. Replace my waiting with beautiful surprises only you can give. And if what I am asking for is not good for me, then remove its love from my heart and replace it with something better than I could ever imagine. Ya Allah, do not leave me to myself even for the blink of an eye. Hold my heart when it breaks. Guide me when I feel lost, and bring me closer to you in every moment of my life.